Hey everybody, Jonathan here from Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com, and today I want to talk about the Twitter copyright apocalypse, Twitter copyright apocalypse. I've totally lost the plot on how to say it, but the recent spate of content ID matches, it seems to be targeting video game oriented channels on YouTube. It's been all over my feed on Twitter and all over Facebook and other copyright news sites, and so I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about it today, and specifically I wanted to talk about what is actually going on. While there's all these great videos of people being angry and upset and very intense about what's happening, what's kind of gotten lost in the mix is what actually took place. And I want to actually talk about that instead. And in the process, I want to dispel some myths and some ideas, misconceptions, I should say, people have about what took place. And the first misconception is that this is a copyright policy change. It is not a copyright policy change. It may seem like it. It's understandable why it feels like it, but it's not. It's actually a change in the policy in the way YouTube handles multi-channel networks, which in turn has led into a change in the way the copyright policy is applied. But actually the change has to do with MCNs or multi-channel networks. We'll get back to that. And the other thing I wanted to dispel real fast is that this is targeting video game YouTubers. Though they are being disproportionately affected by it, it doesn't actually target them directly. It's across the board, though video game-oriented channels, especially Let's Play and review-oriented channels, are feeling the brunt of it. So, to understand what's going on, we first have to make like the Houston Texans, drop back 10 and punt. Too soon for that joke? Sorry, Texans fans. But anyways, we have to first understand what happens if you, as a brand new YouTuber, you're now a brand new YouTuber by the way, were to post one of your first videos to the site. If you, with a brand new account, maybe you've gotten partner access, maybe not, but you upload a video to the account, several things are going to happen to it pretty much immediately. The first is that it's going to be scanned by Content ID. Content ID is YouTube's automated content matching system. Now, if there's interest and people really like this video and want to know more, I'll do a whole video on Content ID and how it works, but just the basics for right now. But basically what happens is a bunch of copyright holders upload their stuff to YouTube, and YouTube then parses it and picks out the little bytes and stuff, and whenever content gets uploaded to it, uploaded to YouTube from third parties that matches some of that content, and takes action. The action is taken depends upon what the publisher has said. So the publisher says, hey, we want to monetize that content, then the content will be monetized. If we want it taken down, it'll be taken down. If we want to track it, it'll be tracked, etc. Well, first that'll happen, and then second, if you wish to enable monetization of the video, it's going to have to go through an approval process. This process sometimes is nearly instantaneous, but sometimes it can take several days. I've actually, on videos on my Garbage Hard channel, had videos take as long as 4 or 5 days. So, be warned, monetization could take a while to get approval. And that's for everyone. Except, excuse me, for a time period there was a group of people that were largely exempt from this, and those were affiliates of multi-channel networks, or MCNs. Now, an MCN basically functions something like an agent for a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel signs up with them and agrees to give the MCN a cut of their revenue. It's usually like 30% or 40%, in that ballpark. And in exchange, the MCN agrees to provide a series of services to that channel. Those services include promotion, ad support, and ad sales, because MCNs oftentimes can sign deals with advertisers that's much more lucrative than YouTube's own deals. They will provide sometimes financing and support in getting new equipment, new software, etc., tips, channel ways to improve the channel quality itself. So they do a lot of things. But the MCN also has a very special relationship with YouTube. And that relationship basically has the MCN saying, hey, YouTube, all these channels, they're ours. They're with us, and they're cool. We know they're cool. We're vouching for these guys. And so basically, there are any legal problems with them, be it copyright, privacy, anything. It's our problem, not yours. And YouTube says, okay, that's really, really cool, you guys. You're taking a lot of legal burden off of our hands, so here's the deal. We're going to say that all of the channels in your MCN are A, exempt, or at least mostly exempt from Content ID matches. Second, we're going to say that all the channels on the MCN get instantaneous monetization, meaning you upload that video and boom, it is available for monetization from the very first second it hits the interwebs. So, and those are two very cool things, and those alone might even justify, in many cases, the use of an MCN, that 30% cut, even before you get into promotion and ad sales and all that. So a lot of people sign up for MCNs because it really streamlines the monetization process of using YouTube. It cuts out a lot of the middleman stuff that YouTube does. Well, what changed, and this is what YouTube admits on Polygon, is that basically they asked all their MCNs, hey guys, can you please divide up all the channels underneath you into either managed channels, meaning channels that you directly control and are part of your company, or affiliate channels, or meaning third parties who happen to have signed with you. And all the MCNs supposedly did that, and nearly, like, I think the estimates were like 95% of all MCN channels fall under the affiliate category. All the affiliates lost those aforementioned copyright special benefits. No content ID avoidance and no instant monetization of videos. Two very big reasons people join MCNs. Now, and what else is happening, the reason we're seeing this copyright apocalypse right now is because YouTube, in addition to removing content ID, the avoidance of content ID for future uploads, is actually going back in time and looking at the hundreds and thousands of videos that these MCN channel affiliates had uploaded and are dinging those as they find content ID matches. And as a result, you're getting people like Angry Joe who are getting 60-plus videos dinged, and many, many other stories like his. He's definitely not the only one, though he's right now the most popular. The result of that is it feels like YouTube is targeting video game channels. And the reason is because video game channels disproportionately turn to MCNs, and there's a lot of reasons for it. A, there's a lot of really cool MCNs targeted at video game community. Machinima, Maker Studios, two examples that leap right out to my mind. But there are many, many others as well. Second, they also disproportionately use third-party content. I mean, duh, right? I mean, they're doing Let's Play videos and reviews. Of course they're using third-party content. As I know from doing Garbage Horror and doing movie reviews, third-party content, no matter how legitimately you're using it, gets picked up in Content ID. Because like I said, it is an automated system. This is not, for the record, a DMCA notice. This is not the people behind Capcom or Ubisoft or whoever pointing to me going, smite that! No, it's not that. This is an automated process where Capcom uploaded its content at some point, and YouTube decided how to match it on its own volition. And Capcom just set up the rules for what to do when it found a match, but I would argue it probably set up those rules assuming that MCNs and the largest video game channels would be immune, so that's that. But the point I'm trying to hit at is that if these videos had been uploaded before they had been an MCN affiliate, the same matches would have been found. And what that means is that it's not really that new copyright rules have been instituted, it's just that now those copyright rules apply to everyone that isn't a managed partner with an MCN. All the affiliates of the MCNs, which include people like Angry Joe, are getting dinged and dinged very, very hard, very suddenly. Now, so yeah, basically that's what's going on. It's not YouTube being diabolical and evil, and it's definitely not copyright holders, because there's so many copyright holders involved, there's no way, from a practical standpoint. It's not copyright holders sitting around, let's screw the gamers on YouTube. No, it's not that either, okay? The issue is simply that YouTube changed its policy regarding content ID and multi-channel networks, and now multi-channel network affiliates are having their entire archive sorted through by content ID and not liking what happens. Excuse me. So, the question then becomes, why did YouTube do this? And we have no idea. None. We have speculation, and I'm going to get into that, but we have no idea. YouTube has admitted to the policy change, but they have not stated their reasoning for it, and that's frustrating. The reason it's frustrating is because it's kind of important that we know. Now, there's three reasons I've heard come up time and time again for why YouTube might be doing this. Reason one, recently the National Music Publishers Association, NMPA, sued Fullscreen, the largest MCN, saying that basically Fullscreen and its affiliates were using copyrighted songs without permission and without a licensing fee and yada yada yada. Pretty standard stuff. And also they signed a deal with Maker Studios at about the same time. Though that lawsuit has proved that the MCN system is working, because they didn't go after YouTube. YouTube's not involved in this lawsuit in any way. It's easy to see why it might shake them up a little bit. So that's one thing. The second reason I've heard is that YouTube is supposedly working on this music streaming service. No one really knows what it's going to be like, but it's supposed to be like a Spotify / RDO competitor type thing. No one really knows the details yet. But there's talk that maybe YouTube is trying to appease copyright holders more that way. That seems unlikely to me, because if that system's going to launch in Q1 2014 like it's supposed to, the negotiations have to be way, way, way down the line. It's got to be pretty much done. Now it'd be a little late in the game for that, in my opinion. But also mentioned a few times too. The third reason is the hot file ruling. Now, to briefly recap this, hot file was, I have to speak of it in the past tense now, a cyberlocker service. They were sued by the MPAA for copyright infringement, for encouraging copyright infringement, being responsible for what its users uploaded. And Hotfile said, well, hey, we're protected under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. We had a DMCA agent. We removed files when we were notified. We did everything in accordance with the law. We're not liable for this. But Hotfile lost, and they lost in part because of, well, there was two key reasons they lost. One was that they had an affiliate program where they were paying people for the most popular downloads, which very often happened to be infringing downloads. And the other reason was because they did not have a repeat infringer policy that was worth anything. And the DMCA does require that a host like Hotfile have such a policy. So long story short, Hotfile lost. And it might have been the type of thing that encouraged people to take a strong look. People at YouTube take a strong look at the MCN system and see if it exposes them to any extra liability if they're giving preferential treatment to a large number of their channels. But I think there's a fourth reason for this, and that is the MCN system has kind of gotten a little out of hand. A lot of people have been setting up these really bad MCNs, really low rent bad MCNs, and have been kind of abusing it in order, maybe not necessarily to get around Content ID, but to get a cut of profits and to basically, create an MCN that doesn't really add any value to YouTube or to the people under it. And so I think YouTube may have wanted to blunt that some as well. So I'm sure they have, and it might be all these reasons, it might be none of these reasons, but these are the reasons I keep hearing and thinking about. But it's all speculation. YouTube has not said. Until they say, that's all we got is speculation. So that's really where things sit. So to recap really fast, this is not targeted at video game channels. It just feels that way because video game channels tend to be on MCNs, and MCNs are the target of it. It is not a copyright policy change. It just simply is applying the regular copyright policy to MCN affiliates, which previously was not happening. And finally, it is not, a mischievous act by copyright holders or anyone else. They, as far as copyright holders are concerned, they have not done anything different. This is all happening without their input. And in fact, that's why you get a lot of these studios like Ubisoft and Capcom and so forth saying, hey, wait a minute, we didn't ask for this. And indeed, they didn't. It's YouTube kind of unilaterally decided to change its policy regarding MCNs, and now those really, really popular video game-oriented channels that are on these multi-channel networks are getting dinged left and right. Crazy amount of Content ID notifications. But their Content ID notifications they probably would have been dinged with if they hadn't been a part of an MCN. They would have gotten those dings a long time ago. So just think about it that way. That's what's going on. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just explaining the facts of the situation as admitted by YouTube and as researched in various other articles and what's going on. I will leave a link to the Polygon article where YouTube defends this policy, quote-unquote defends this policy, rather it really just explains it, and you can read up on it there. But until next time, this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.